Well, hey everybody, welcome to the channel. Now this is an unusual special episode that I'm making at your request. I thought we'd just sit down today, have a cup of tea together, and we're going to talk about my personal photography site called snapbysnap.com. Now in Thursday's episode where I gave you guys my January stock sales, got a couple of comments I want to address. Now obviously these comments have led to this particular episode. Now one of these, let's see, from Lab Ninja, please don't use in-camera mic. Boy, I can't agree with you more. Fortunately, what I have found is that my trusty GoPro 5, after about 2.5 years worth of use, its little external mic adapter port seems to have gone bad. And I'll tell you what guys, I was really hesitant to release yesterday's episode just because the sound quality I wasn't happy with, but I was still trying to isolate down the problem. So what I'm doing is I'm shooting today's episode on my Canon 7D. Hopefully I got the microphone situation worked out. I've tested 2 different microphones with it. I think we're okay, so hopefully you guys have a little bit better sound quality today. Alright, so a couple of the comments that came through. Alright, this comment's from SD. As always, well presented. Thank you, Jason. In a future video, I'm interested in hearing about how you set up your SmugMug hosted website. What were the rewards and challenges? How do you promote the site and how you determine your pricing? Okay, well that's pretty much what we're going to be talking about is my SmugMug site. So let's take a look at it. So this is my site, snapbysnap.com. It's hosted on a site called SmugMug. And I organize this because of the plan that I've chosen. I'll go through the plans a little bit later on here. The plan that I chose allows me to do customization of the site. So I chose to customize the tiles based on location. So I have a tile for each US state that I photographed in or country. Let's go to Italy. Alright, so inside of each state or country, then I go to maybe a location. And then from that location, when you click on it, then you get to see the images from that particular location. Now another neat thing about this is that this is also searchable. So remember, these are the images that I've uploaded in the stock photography. So all of my metadata, including title, keyword, and description, is embedded in these images. So I'm just going to look for anything that has a keyword of doors in it, and you can see for my Venice site, it's filtered out and has doors. So I do have search capability. I'm going to show you guys how I set that up for the internet itself here in just a few minutes. So let's talk a little bit about why I have this site. Now, remember, my primary income is not through my travel and my photography. This is just part of my overall business. In the real world, I'm a Microsoft certified trainer. I'm a freelance. I own my own business. I have an S Corp registered in my home state, so I have a legitimate business. And of course, with any business, you have to pay your taxes. So the photography and the travel, the YouTube part of my business, yeah, it's part of the business, and I make sure that I pay taxes on it. So that's kind of one of the reasons why I have a professional level account with SmugMug. You see, one thing that I always tell people when they're thinking about starting a business is no matter what you do, always pay your taxes. Alright, always. This is something you do not want to play around with. You know, you're going to see, especially in the news, billionaires, the big CEOs, whatever, they're always trying to find new avenues to not pay their taxes. Well, it's easier for the IRS to come after, the IRS is the tax agency here in the United States. It's easier for them to come after small folks than it is the big folks. So I have an accountant that I've hired that manages my taxes so that I know everything is done correctly. And if I think about something that might be a tax deduction, I call her and I run it by here just to make sure that it's legit. I will take any tax deduction that I am legally allowed to take, but I absolutely will not do anything to make my practices questionable. For me, it's peace of mind. I don't want to have to worry about an unexpected tax bill. So I play it safe, I play conservative, and I make sure everything's legit. So one thing about this site, in combination with what I do here on YouTube, this channel is monetized. So eventually I will have to pay taxes on any income coming in from this channel. To make sure that everything is fully legitimate, anytime I go somewhere and I take pictures, I put them up here on SmugMug, and that turns it into a business trip. Now, if I'm just take one here, one there, no, I don't count it as a business trip. I think that's scamming the system. Yes, I could claim a lot more miles if I would do that, but I'll be honest with you, it's not something that I just don't feel comfortable scamming the system that way. Now, if I do go on a trip and it's dedicated to filming for YouTube or photography, then yes, I start writing things off as business expenses because they are business expenses. It's legitimate. So anyhow, when we go into the SmugMug site, there is an area for you to set up for your taxes. Let's take a look. Alright, so I'm going to go up into the account settings under business. And here I have the finances link. Now, I have already put on file my appropriate tax information. I'm not going to pop that up on the screen. It'd be a little inappropriate. So that appropriate taxes can be reported to the IRS. Now, my state does not collect taxes off of SmugMug. I've already checked this little drop-down box. It's not on there, so I don't have to worry about it, but you will want to check your state. If you're not in the United States, you're going to select your country, and that way appropriate taxes can be taken out for your country. Again, this is not something you want to play with. You want to make sure that your business is legitimate, and so are your practices. And this is also, of course, where I can get the tax forms when it's tax time. All right, let's talk a little bit about the selling of my images. Now, some of you asked how I do pricing. Now, when you do a pro package, I believe 400% markup above cost is what SmugMug recommends. So you can do different price lists and have those price lists applied to different galleries. So the one I'm running right now is one of my older price lists. And if you guys remember in yesterday's episode, I talked about my 4 digital downloads that people purchased. Let me show you what they paid. I'm going to go into Edit List. I'm going to go into my digital downloads, single photo. They purchased the original size and they paid $550 for that particular images. All right, so of course I can reset the pricing and make changes to it all that I want because I have a professional level package that allows me to set prices on all the different items that people are able to purchase off my site. Now, obviously for stock photography, the downloads is a big one. Let's take a look at some of the other things that people are able to purchase from my site. All right, I'm just going to select one of these images. Now this one is affectionately known as the Blue Door of Venice, and I accidentally found it on my last trip while I had clothes running in a laundromat nearby. But anyhow, let's say somebody wants to purchase this particular image. So I'm going to go down to the shopping cart. And we can do paper prints of all sorts of different sizes. I'm able to do wall art. So that's going to include traditional canvas, rolled canvas, all right, paintings. You encourage them over the paintings. Mounted, framed, what have you. We can have it printed out on metal. We can do desk art like little frames, mouse pads. I can do coffee cups, Christmas ornaments, what have you, puzzles, greeting cards. I can do all kinds of things, or my clients can put my images on those items. So in those pricing lists, I went through and I priced out what I want, and I did that in a way because with a professional level account, I can issue coupons. And let's say I have a friend's going to need to decorate their house. This happened, and they wanted to use my images. Well, I'm not going to have my friends pay the full price, so I privately issue them a discount code. So instead of maybe making $40 off of each sale, maybe I only made $5 off of it just to cover my time there. And that's fine because those are for friends. All right, so that's a little bit about what you can sell when you're using a SmugMug account. So how do I protect my images? Well, let's go into the gallery settings here. So I'm going to go to Organize. And let's go into that gallery. So you see I have a lot of galleries I do not have published because this also acts as my cloud backup site. I can back up full-scale images here. Let's see, we were just in Italy. and we were in Venice. I'm going to go into the settings, and the settings is something that you set up when you create a gallery. So here I have a title, description, and I don't use too many keywords at this level, and I'll talk about the keywords in a minute. But security and sharing. It is publicly visible. Anybody can access it. And this is where it becomes key for people to be able to find your images. And I'm going to go to some of my site statistics in a minute here. But web searchable, it's on my site setting, and the site setting I have for everything on the site is, for any of these public galleries, is they are searchable. In other words, web crawlers like Google can see the title, description, and keywords of my images and present them as image results to potential clients. And I believe that is how I get sales on the site. SmugMug searchable, if anybody's on SmugMug and searches the site for images, of course SmugMug will also cough up those images. Now, under photo protection, the right-click message. If you right-click because you want to copy or download an image directly from the site, it will block you. Now, that doesn't say people can't screenshot, but the thing is when you screenshot, you're not going to get full resolution. So there's some protection there. Apply watermark. You can have customized watermarks if you have an appropriate plan. And I do have a watermark on my images so that they're going to have some work to do if they try to steal them. All right, now, on my appearance, for most of my sites, most of the images I have are galleries. What I do is I have actually a collage landscape. Now the Venice one, because most of the images are portraits, I have it on collage portrait. Alright, and then of course I can control how they look, how they're ordered, things like that. So again guys, on the social side, on the sharing and security side, there we go, that web searchable, that's how people find the images. Now yes, on my YouTube channel, of course, at the end of each episode you'll notice there's a little advertisement for my site, and occasionally I mention it. So that's how I get word out about this particular site. You do need to own the domain name that you're going to use. So I'm registered out. I have snapbysnap.com registered. My wife actually came up with the name. I've had this SmugMug account longer than I've been on YouTube. And we thought it was just a cool name, so that's why we called snapbysnap.com. Now, what we're doing right now is we're looking at the different pricing tiers. And if you get to the power tier, that's when you get to have a personalized domain name, so you can have a little bit more professional site. Instead of them going to smugbug.com/whatever, it's to your actual site. Alright, so on my plan, I'm using a pro plan. And it's cost me $360 a year. Now, I rarely make enough off the site right now to pay for that, but the sales are growing. I consider this a necessary business experience or expense, because let's say I drive out to Sedona or out to the Superstition Mountains to do my photography and my YouTube channel. I need to make sure that tax-wise, if I'm going to count the mileage on it, it needs to be legitimate. When I put the photographs up here for sale, that makes it a legitimate business expense. So I can include my mileage on there. So it does help out in those areas. And like the over 1,500 miles I just drove to come up here to Washington State, well, I made sure that I was YouTubing and stopping for photography all along the way. So that helped to make that the mileage a legitimate business expense. Now you can see the basic plan starts at $7. If you're going to be professionally selling your images, this is not the plan you're going to need. You can start selling your images when you get to the portfolio level, but pretty much SmugMug controls the pricing on it. You have to take whatever profits they give you. I have the pro plan, so I can set my own prices. So let's take a look at the traffic that's been going to my site. So I'm going to go up here under my account settings. Statistics, and this month alone 6,700 views of my images. Now of course that could just be they popped up on a Google search somewhere, maybe somebody actually clicked and looked. It doesn't mean sales, but it just means that people have looked at these images. So this this has been growing, particularly since I started YouTubing and putting more and more images up there. And again, because the images are searchable, it's through other search engines that people find these. Now again, I don't make a whole lot of money on this site, but I do make some money, and it is nice to know when people do come out to this site. So really my advertising, I had a question here on how I advertise this site. Let's see. There it is. How do customers directly reach your website? Please make a video on that. Okay. Well, again, through YouTube, I advertise it. Sometimes on Instagram, I'll advertise it. But it's usually through search engines. I don't spend money advertising out snapbysnap.com. I don't. Maybe sometime in the future I will. But for the most part, I just let YouTube handle the advertisement part for me through my videos. So, yeah, that's pretty much a little bit about the site. So you do have to pay to have it, and that is going to be a deterrent for a lot of you because it does take time. Now, if you're going to actively advertise your site, you probably will be doing better than me. But of course, as with all businesses, it takes time to develop, and it takes money to develop. And I'm very fortunate that I am able to do that. Even though this is pretty much mostly an expense, I'm able to do that. Now the other thing about this is with making sure that my business is fully legitimate with the government, is that this is actually my post-retirement job that I'm building. So I do have a planned retirement date from the IT industry in the not so distant future. So what I'm doing right now is I am building this aspect of my business, because at some point in the future I'm hoping to be hosting workshops, just not workshops in Arizona, but also taking all of you who want to join me on an actual workshop somewhere in the world to a phenomenal location. To do photography, and that's one of the things I'm doing right now, as this is a small part of the business, is to make sure that I'm going out, I'm doing location scouting in different countries when I'm able to, and I'm very happy to say that I am having more plans to head up to Canada, Japan, South Korea, Italy, and right now I'm, believe it or not, talking about Greece. So I'll be able to do some location scouting in those areas as well, so that when it does come time for me to offer workshops to all of you, yeah, I'm going to have some very good knowledge of the areas that I'm taking you all, which is what you deserve if you're going to be sitting in a workshop with me, or I shouldn't say sitting, if you're going to be participating in a photography workshop with me somewhere around the world. Alright guys, so I hope this answered some of the questions about my photography site. Of course, I love hearing from you guys in the comments. Please let me know if you have any additional questions that I can answer. And yeah, that's pretty much it, guys. Thank you for watching. And of course, if you can, please consider adopting a shelter animal. And if you can, please consider making a donation to your local animal shelter. Never stop exploring, and I'll see you all in the next episode.